Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Got Monday Night Football here between the Bears and the Vikings in Minnesota. I know there's a second Monday Night Football game, but I don't have that one tonight. Going to be going through that in the live show on Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. So for this one, going to get into the best bets and projections that I have. A couple bets already placed for this Vikings and Bears game. Also want to run through how we did on Sunday because Dieter, my guest who comes in every week for the play of props and the touchdowns, is on fuego. Dieter's absolutely killing it right now. So I want to go over how we are doing on the NFL as a whole between he and I, and then get right into these props. So if that sounds good, go ahead and give that video a like. Let's get right into it. As we get into how we did, I want to run the giveaway back because we still didn't get a winner last Thursday night when I asked you guys for the first touchdown score for both the Niners and the Rams. Well, it was the worst Thursday night football game of the year, and we didn't get a touchdown. So I'm going to run it back. I want you guys to jump in the comments. Let me know who's going to be the first touchdown score for each team. If you get it right, you get a month free in the VIP. I don't care about how many of you get it right. Let's just get it. So if anybody gets the first two touchdown scores right, the one for each team, the first touchdown score for Minnesota, first touchdown score for the Bears as well, get that right in the comments, get you a free month in the VIP so you don't miss out on any of this stuff that we're doing in there, including making more than 32 units so far on the young NBA season. But quick look at how we did here with Dietz. Like I said, the man is on fire. Only bet so far that he did not get in the props was Jameis Winston, and Trey McBride somehow still hasn't gotten a receiving touchdown on the season. Other than that, our man brought us Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is clearly wide receiver 2, if not wide receiver 1 on the Seahawks now. Devon Achane, we came to the conclusion that the receiving yards was best. He got 35. And then Kamara went under, and Amon-Ra St. Brown went under for me. I have a chance to sweep the props if DeAndre Swift goes under 52.5 rush yards. So there's one for tonight's game. That's a little bit of a spoiler. And I sucked on the touchdowns, man. And honestly, the touchdowns I did not give out in the VIP because I don't trust them right now. And I'm spending so much time talking about the NBA. These sounds like excuses, but that's why I bring Dieter on, because he is killing the NFL this season. So we're feeling good about where he's at. Let's get into everything we have here for Monday. And don't forget, jump in the comments. Let me know the first touchdown score for each team for a shot at the free month in the VIP. Got a special episode of the live show on Monday because not only are we going to be doing NFL and NBA action there for the live show, going over all those bets, I've also got Matt Jedi Modi, coming on with me to do that as well. So we're both going to be bringing you everything we've got for Monday Night Football, in addition to the NBA games and picks that we have in there. I've already got 2 NBA picks down in the VIP as well. So definitely jump in there and join us, bring your bets and get in the comments. We'll go over everything we need to make sure we get the best value here on Monday. All right, let's get into the Bears and the Vikes here. And I don't really have much confidence in the Bears. I don't know why you would at this point. They are second to last in passing yards, and they are in the bottom third of the league in terms of the pass EPA. Really not getting in very much protection for Caleb Williams as well, bottom half of the league in terms of the pressure percentage for that quarterback. And that's been the case for him all season. Granted, he's good at scrambling, so I'm not too worried about it, but he is going to be under fire once again, the way he was last game by this Minnesota Vikings defense, which is just trying to pressure you, right? That's what they're doing with Brian Flores. They're just blitzing a ton in the top 3 blitz percentage and in the top 3 in terms of pressure percentage on the quarterback. That's the whole basis of their defense, because they also already stopped the run so well that they can just bring the house and know that they're going to have containment and they're going to have pressure on the quarterback. So I expect Caleb Williams to struggle once again, but he'll probably have the pass attempts because he's going to have to if they plan on staying in this game at all. The thing that I love is an under on the rushing, which we just talked about, and I'll get into a little bit more for Swift, because this offensive line isn't getting any push, man, and this defensive line for the Vikings is, right? The adjusted yards before contact on complete opposite ends of the spectrum here. Bears rushing attack not getting any push, bottom 10 in terms of their adjusted yards before contact, meaning that their running back is getting hit before he can get very far down the field. And then that's the same concept, or the opposite concept, for this Vikings defense, which is in the top 5 in adjusted yards before contact, getting to that running back pretty quickly. And they're shutting that down super fast. The only reason that they're in the bottom 4 in terms of the pass yards, as you can see for this Minnesota defense, is because they're also in the bottom 3 in terms of pass rate against them. You have to pass against them because they are leading for most of the game and you cannot run on them. So that's a big reason for their success on the season, and I expect that to continue in spades here against the Bears. On the other side of the ball, Sam Darnold and co are cruising, and I want to talk about that here in the player props here in a minute. Because he has weapons on weapons now, man. Jordan Addison has emerged. TJ Hawkinson is back and only getting healthier and seems to be pretty much fully healthy at this point. The rushing yards and the rush EPA for them, yeah, okay, it's not something they've done super well, and it's annoying that they're such a good team that gets the lead but doesn't have as good of a run game. Their adjusted yards before contact, also not very good. Like Sam Darnold's getting a ton of time to throw, but Aaron Jones not getting very many wide open lanes. I will say that. And I still like him to be able to run the ball in this one against the Bears, where that's what you do. You run the ball against them. They have the 10th best pass EPA, which has dropped a little bit in the last 4 weeks. They're definitely seeming to get tired because they're also a team that gets run on a ton, and their cornerbacks are busy trying to tackle, not necessarily in coverage a lot. So that seems to be wearing on them a bit. But either way, you can run on them, right? They are 26th in rushing yards allowed, 27th in rush EPA. And we've seen teams who are trailing against the Bears run the ball a ton because they know they're going to have more success doing that than passing the ball. That said, this Vikings defense, or offense rather, is going to do whatever it wants. They'll revert to the run game, but I expect them to pass nice and early and Sam Darnold to have plenty of success. What type of success? Well, I don't necessarily need to mess with the yards because I think they'll have a pretty positive game script, meaning they won't have to pass, positive meaning they're ahead, and they can run the clock with the ball, right? And that's what they do super well. This team is running the 4th most clock when it's on offense, taking its time running those plays, letting its defense get healthy, and letting Sam Darnold and company sort of take their time, keep the offense on the field. For the touchdowns, though, this is my bet. I like the 2 tutties for him. It's juiced down. I think you can get it with the Vikings money line. I think you can get an alt spread, right? If you want to take it and tease it down to about, plus or -3 rather for this squad, like however you want to do it, I easily see them winning. So I do think that the passing touchdowns combined with the money line, or however you want to take the Vikings to win or cover, is the play here, right? 2+ TDs and 4 straight for him. He's gone over this number, had at least 2 in 10 of the 13 games this season. And as I mentioned, Jalen Johnson, the stud cornerback for the Chicago Bears, last 2 games, given up a touchdown in each of those 2 games to the guy that he was guarding. So I do think there's something to be said for this Bears defense and this Bears team in general, sort of just finally realizing it has no shot and giving up on the season as a whole. And then there's those weapons that I mentioned for Sam Darnold. That's a big reason for his success in the last 4 games with all those touchdowns, is not only is J-Jet, right? Justin Jefferson's not the only dude catching those tutties anymore. Now we've got TJ Hawkinson, who still doesn't have a tutty, but is catching a ton of balls for a lot of yards. And then Jordan Addison, who looks like an absolute wide receiver 2, and the guy they tried to draft early in the draft a couple years ago, and is finally emerging into that dude with Sam Darnold and this very, very good pass blocking. So I'm going to feel very comfortable about him to get the 2 tutties in this one and to be able to get those to one of either Addison, Jefferson, and or Hawkinson. No shade intended here for Caleb Williams, but I think we're getting an interception in this game, and it's down to -130. Not great odds, but that's actually pretty telling in that he has not been throwing very many interceptions as of late, and yet this still has a pretty high implied probability that it's going to occur, right? -130 gives us well over a 50% chance that this bet is going to hit, at least according to the odds. He's looking at a team, he's going up against a team, I should say, that as many passing yards as they've given up. I told you, it's because they have so many pass attempts against them, which is why they're one of the best teams at picking the ball off, right? They've got at least 1 INT in 11 of 13 games this season. They've got 2+ in 7 of 13 games, averaging 1.5 interceptions per game. Now, like I said, in the last 7 games, no interceptions for the young quarterback. Congratulations. It's actually even more impressive when you consider that since Thomas Brown has taken over, the new head coach that's interim for the Chicago Bears, because they finally got rid of Eberflus, he has been a much more pass-heavy coordinator and play caller than anybody that came before him recently in the Bears coaching staff, right? So it's actually pretty impressive that Caleb has not thrown an INT in his last 7 games. However, he has come very close, and I would say it's more of a luck rating that he has not gotten a turnover yet than anything else. He has 6 turnover-worthy plays, and these stats are super awesome. I would make sure you check out the link in the description of the video for playerprofiler.com. That is my favorite spot to get these player props, some of the specifics for each individual player. You're going to be able to find those turnover-worthy plays. You're going to find things like luck rating, which is behind a paywall, but it's super, super helpful to see, in a weird game of football. So it's weird. Just because someone did or didn't have a turnover doesn't mean that it was, it could have been a fluke. You got this weird oblong ball that's tough to rally. Football is a weird game. I would say the regression has to come back to the mean, to the average. He's gotten too lucky not getting a turnover. This is going to be sort of the day that comes to fruition against a team that just picks everybody off as well as any other team in the league. Bearing the lead here, you already know I don't like DeAndre Swift to get his yards, and I'm going under 54.5. Reason simply, well, there's a couple of reasons. I'm not going to make it that simple. One, this is, as I mentioned, Thomas Brown, the head coach here, a lot more play calls, heavier pass play percentage for the Bears since he's taken over. As a result, we've seen Swift only at about 12.7 carries per game in the last 3 with Thomas Brown, 35.7 yards per game, which is good for 2.8 yards per carry. And he would have gone under even more often and had worse numbers except for he had a 40-yard rush against the Lions. That was really, really lucky. Other than that, not very many yards, right, in general here. And that includes a game against the Vikings a couple games ago where he only had the 30 rushing yards on 13 carries versus this team. With the negative game script likely once again for the Bears, not sure why you would project him for more than 13. And against the number 1 rush EPA in the league in Minnesota, not sure why you would project him to get better than 3 yards per carry once again. And he would need closer to like 4 or 5 yards per carry, right? If he's getting around 12 to 13. With that negative game script, don't think that's likely. And I don't even know how many opportunities he's going to have to run in general because Minnesota's playing at the 4th slowest play rate, which we talked about as well, which is super helpful for them, keeping the offense of Chicago off the field. And when Chicago finally gets on the field, they're going to feel that pressure to have to score if they want to stay in this game. That's not good for running the ball. If you need to score points quickly, I think that this is a really solid under at 54.5. I would take this down to about 50.5 and take under that as well. Aaron Jones, I'm going to be using this photo forever, y'all, so just get used to Aaron Jones in a sombrero. Why would I use any other image? But 65 rushing yards over, I think, is the good play for him. And I'm considering a ladder for Aaron Jones personally as well. When you look at the game that he had against Chicago in the last one, right? Best game of the season for him at this point. And it's going to be a similar situation. Again, you've got a very good Chicago pass defense. You've got a positive game script for Aaron Jones and the Vikings. He should be seeing upwards of 18 to 20 carries in this game if they build a lead in the first half, like I'm very strongly projecting here. He had his best game against them with 106 yards just a few games ago, and he's gone over an 8 of 13. But you have to look more closely at the Aaron Jones hit rate here and look at 3 of those games where he got fewer than double-digit carries because he got hurt and had to leave the game, which, to be fair, is always a fear when you bet on Aaron Jones that he might not make it through the end of the game as he's pretty injury-prone. That said, 10 of these games where he's not hurt, going over an 8 of them, I got to buy into that once again. Chicago, awful rush EPA and allowing the second most rushing yards to the running back. So there's really nothing to not like here. Everything is leading into the favor of Aaron Jones having a solid matchup in this game. So I'm going to take him to get at least 15 carries. And if he does that, I love him to get the 65 plus rush yards. I mentioned Hockenson doesn't have a tutty yet. I think that's still a good look for him. That should be at about plus 200, plus 220 around the number that you're going to see for TJ to get it into the end zone. But I also just like the receiving yards. I don't really need to complicate this. The thing that the Bears give up the most to the tight end is the yards. They're actually in the top 10 limiting receptions to tight ends, but they do not tackle well against them apparently. And they give up a lot of the stuff down the seams, right down the middle of the field where TJ is running most of his routes. And he's actually been spread out into the slot, not just playing on the line, he's playing in the slot as well. Because he's a receiver. He's an incredible receiver, and that's why you see him have the 5th highest route percentage among tight ends. His snap percentage isn't even in the top 10 among tight ends. But when he's out there, it's to catch balls. He's not a blocking guy. They've got Josh Oliver a little bit better for that, right? So when you see TJ on the field, which is about 72% of the time, or excuse me, it's about 65% of the time, but he's running a route pretty much every time that he's on the field. So that's why he's in the top 5 in terms of route percentage that he runs among tight ends. And like I said, the touchdown is a good look, not only because it's TJ Hockenson, and I like Sam Darnold to get at least 2 of them, but also because he's actually been getting involved so much more in the last 2-3 games inside the red zone and inside the 10-yard line as well, where he's got 4 targets inside the red zone in just the last 2 games. He's got 7 targets in the last 4 games inside the red zone. So averaging more than nearly 2 red zone targets per game over the course of the last 4 as he's continued to get healthier and healthier. I expect him to have another big game against Chicago like he did last game, where he went over the 100-yard mark, and we took him for over 47.5 receiving yards in that one. Zero reason to not feel like we can go right back to him. Do not forget, jump in the comments. Give me the first touchdown score for each of these teams. If you get it right for both teams, go ahead and get you a free month in the VIP. So I'll be checking those comments tomorrow night to see who is eligible to get into the VIP. I'm not even running a raffle. If you get it right in the comments, I get you a free month in the VIP. I don't care if there's 50 of you in there. I'm tired of us not getting the first touchdown score for both games. So we're doing it tonight on Monday. So best of luck with that. Join me in the live show tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern with Jedi Modi. We'll be going over both NFL and NBA, and we're going to make some money tomorrow night. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Until I see y'all tomorrow, happy betting.